Hey sketchy friends, in today's video I wanted to talk to you about this sketchbook, which is the Stillman Birn Nova, but not this specific sketchbook, just everything that I've kind of learned or thought about whilst filling this sketchbook up, specifically because it is toned paper, so it's like a brown toned paper. So I've had a love-hate relationship with this sketchbook, I'm not gonna lie. Not for the specific paper that's in this sketchbook or the brand or anything, I love Stillman Birn, but more just grappling with toned paper as a whole. I have filled up a toned watercolor sketchbook before by Hahnemuller, and I've got that sketchbook tour here on the channel. I feel that was a lighter paper. It was a different kind of paper, but still, there's a lot to learn when it comes to sketching on toned paper, I feel. And whilst I'm certainly no master, I thought it'd be interesting if I share my learnings and my thoughts with you guys so that you can think about whether you want to buy and try a toned sketchbook, or if you have a toned sketchbook, how it might impact what you're doing in your sketchbook. So I just thought I'd share this with you, as well as it being a sketchbook tour, because I have finally finished the sketchbook, which I feel like has taken forever, but it's not because I've not been sketching much, it's just I do tend to bounce around different sketchbooks quite a lot. So, but I've really wanted to commit to finishing the sketchbook. So it kind of has been a year in the making, but pretty much 99.9% of stuff in here is urban sketching, or at least sketching on location. We start then with a nude. This was actually my first ever life drawing experience, properly in person, so that was quite interesting. This wasn't the only drawing I did. I took a range of different paper with me, but I wanted to try some specific pencils I had. I think they were actually these Winsor & Newton ones here that I got in a goodie bag, an Urban Sketchers goodie bag. I think they're charcoal pencils, so I wanted to try those. I was quite happy with this drawing. I think for a first ever life drawing attempt, it wasn't too bad. We went to the Military Museum with Urban Sketchers Johannesburg, and I really like this sketch, and this brings me on to my first point. I found a lot through this sketchbook that the most successful sketches are the ones where like less is more. The more colours, the more drawing you do, it seems to just, it got away from me a bit, whereas this I just think is minimalist, and I really like this sketch quite a lot. And then I did some tanks, which were really difficult, but really, really fun to draw. And you can see I just drew the front of the tank and I kind of trailed it off. Just very quickly, guys, I just want to mention prettysketchy.tv. This is my membership platform, and I've got all manner of tutorials here. So if you just go to membership library, I've got things on drawing techniques, perspective, how to start sketching in public, series of exercises, sketching a scene from start to finish, using white space, house portraits, sketching everyday items, how to sketch loose, painting first, drawing on top, all kinds of things. And all of these categories expand outwards as well, so there's more videos in each of them. So I've got about 100 so far and counting. I'm always releasing more. And do go and check it out, prettysketchy.tv. Got a variety of different membership options, monthly, 6 monthly, annual. On the annual plan, it equates to like $8 a month. So it is really good value, I think. And you can really flex your sketching skills with all of these different kinds of subjects and techniques to try out. So do head over there, prettysketchy.tv, to check it out. I mean, this was back in September 23, but I was like, right, I really want to draw people. So whilst it's really tempting to draw the nice view whilst I'm out sketching with people, I was like, I'm going to sketch the sketches because they're going to stay relatively still as well. Another point about using toned paper, and it might sound obvious, is that the brown or grey or whatever colour you're using is your mid-tone. So you absolutely do have to add white or some lighter tone to bring in the highlights, because they're not there. Whereas when you sketch on white paper, your highlights are already there and you have to work backwards from there. So it might sound obvious, but it's something that can actually easily be missed in a sketch. And you're like, why doesn't this look good? And then it's because you haven't added any white or highlights. I remember this very distinctly because I just had all my wisdom teeth removed and I was not in a good place. But I really wanted to go and sketch with friends. So this was basically all I could manage. I think this is the only blank page of the entire book, and I think that probably is reflective of my state at that time. Another thing I realized is that certainly this color blue paint marker just really, really pops against this brown. I really, really liked that, and you can see that I use that quite a lot in these first few sketches at least. This is an example of where it just got away from me. It was just too much. I was also trying out Ecoline markers. My mum came over from the UK and she'd bought me a set of 30, all the different colours, which was really, really nice of her as a little present. So yeah, I was trying those out, and this just totally got away from me. I just think it's a bit crazy. But yeah, still use the blue key line around the edge because I like that. I like that look. So this is an example just using greys and like this kind of brownish colour and white and black, and it's just much more graphic and readable. And whilst my people aren't so great here, this guy's hilarious because he's just so out of proportion, but I actually quite like the way he's standing. I just like this sketch, and I went to this coffee shop specifically because I wanted to sketch that, and I thought it would look great on the brown paper. This one I wasn't too big a fan of because I just messed up the perspective, and I was still playing with those markers, and you know, it wasn't going so well for me. However, this one I was a really big fan of, and again, less is more in terms of leaving a lot of the brown paper and just using some accent colours. So basically the blue, using the white in strategic places, and that kind of thing. So this was an Urban Sketches Johannesburg meetup as well. This was with my weekly Thursday group. I really like this spread. I started with my cup of coffee and I ripped up the kind of cardboard holder they give you and stuck in some of that. I think probably after the fact actually. And then just drew the building in front of me, the theatre, and again using this blue paint marker. And I think again, less is more, and there's a lot of blue, shades of blue going on, and I think it really works quite nicely. This was our Christmas party for my Thursday drawing group, and yeah, I was just like enjoying being social, so I didn't do too much drawing. But I did use like a silver paint marker there. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Yeah, I think you can, for my water bottle, and I think that was quite fun. Again, just trying some people sketching. I think this was another Urban Sketches meetup. In the car on the way to see Dave Matthews Band. I was like so excited. I was like, I need to calm down. I just need to like draw something to just keep myself calm because I'm so excited to see Dave Matthews Band. We don't get much in the way of musical acts coming over here into South Africa, at least ones I want to see anyway. So the fact that Dave Matthews Band came over was amazing. And then that same day we were sat at the hotel and it had this amazing view over this area of Pretoria and a bit of the casino with this kind of big mirror ball thing. It was just quite cool, so I wanted to sketch that. Just kind of a random collage of things. I was still trying to get to grips with this book and using different materials. So that's another tip I'd give you, is try lots of different materials, colour pencils, paint markers, and just see what ends up working best for you. This Christmas Eve, Duncan. It looks like he's asleep, but he was actually watching TV. And the cat looks like he wants to punch him. Another one which was random collage-y bits. This was fun. We were in the middle of Johannesburg in an area called Fordsburg, and I had pre-prepared the page with a yellow stripe of paint here, some blue paint here, and this kind of pink tissue paper, and then just kind of drew over the top. So it kind of worked really nicely with the edge of this building here. And then I just drew the buildings in the background with a bit of pencil, and I thought that was quite nice. I really didn't like this sketch, and I tried some different things on it, but yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, but that's fine. These things happen. Again, I was trying to go for the minimalist vibe here. So it was an Urban Sketches meetup, and we were supposed to be drawing this building because they were kicking out all of the independent stores in here and some big company was buying it. So we were like, oh, we've got to go and draw this building before it potentially changes. And I sat down on my stool and then all I could see was this BMW car. So I was like, oh well, I'm just going to draw the car, and then I'll just draw like the very minimalist background. And at the time I really liked this sketch. I think it's quite fun. And then I just did a tutorial of how you can capture a scene in boxes. This was for Pretty Sketchy TV, so this was one that wasn't done on location. This was me just drawing on my lunch break, so drawing my bowl, drawing this weird bottle of water I had, some malaria tablets I had to take, my laptop, that kind of thing. And it's just to show, like, you don't have to have the most interesting view in front of you. You can sketch the mundane and it's still interesting. This one was also a demo for Pretty Sketchy TV, which is to do with composition tricks that you can use. I really enjoyed this one, and I've used a mixture here of watercolour for the fainter parts, colour pencil and paint markers. So this is a mixed media sketchbook. Stillman Birn sketchbooks are mixed media sketchbooks, and I think I found that mixing different media together was quite a successful way of using this book. The watercolour for the fainter stuff, and then colour pencils and paint markers for the heavier kinds of things. A very moody sketch of this restaurant. And you can see for the colour of the building, I really just tried to leave the colour of the paper. So much more so than I would with white paper. I was really trying to leave the brown of the page because it's quite easy to get carried away and cover up the entire page with paint and colour. And then it's like kind of almost defeats the purpose of the toned paper, I think. So this is a sketch at Victoria Yards. We're actually going to hold our annual Urban Sketches Johannesburg Sketching the City of Gold weekend here this year. So if you're in Johannesburg or close by, do check out the event that we're going to hold there in October, end of October. This sketchbook has definitely forced me to sketch in a very different way than I am used to. This is all kind of dry media. And at the time I really didn't like this sketch, but now I look back at it, I'm like, I'm there, I'm sitting in the scene. There wasn't the most exciting scenery around, but sketching my friend Margaret and just foliage, and actually I quite like it now. But it's just a very different effect using colour pencils and dry media than what I'm used to with watercolour, so I think I just have to kind of realise that. And then this was fun. I pre-prepared the page again before I went out and stuck down some yellow paper, a bit of a letter that was stamped, some green coloured paper, the bottom of an email probably, or receipt or something there, and some blue tissue paper. So, and I just really like how it forces a very interesting kind of look to the page. I'm a big fan of drawing on top of collage, and there's a couple of people in Urban Sketches Johannesburg or my sketching group that do the same as well, and I just always think it's quite an interesting effect. I actually really liked this. I enjoy drawing people like this. It really reminds me of children's book illustration, and I just think it's really fun just to draw people in this way. I actually really like this sketch. Again, kind of a bit of a mixture, mainly watercolour actually on here, apart from the white. So I'm always, if you get a toned sketchbook, depending on what paper it is, this can handle wet media as well as dry media. It's a mixed media sketchbook, so experiment. I've got markers, watercolour, colour pencils, crayons, all sorts going on in this book, and it was really, really fun. It's, absolutely forced me to sketch in a different way. So with a book like this, be prepared to just experiment and try different things. I actually really love how this sketch turned out, even though none of these people look like what they look like in real life. Poor Margaret, I made her face so long in this sketch. But it only came together when I put this dark wash or marker in the background, and that it just really made the whole thing pop. So I was really happy I did that. And even though some things are floating in the air, like this cup of coffee, and stuff's all a bit higgledy-piggledy, it doesn't matter. It's all kind of like just collage together. And what was cool is the restaurant we were in had stickers, so they gave them to us to put in our books, and it also just really finishes the spread off, I think. And I really like this, actually. I thought this was fun, putting in the date and the text. It just kind of fit in this gap here. This is what I'm talking about, leaving as much of the color of the paper as you possibly can, because it really does make a difference by just using some spot colors. So this building had such a beautiful turquoisey blue color on it and very fun murals and stuff. And then these bright banners that it's like that's all the color I need. I then don't want to color in the rest of the building. This was unfortunate. We were at the Rand Club and I only had 40 minutes, plus I really wanted a glass of wine, so that definitely ate into my sketching time because it was a very complicated scene. So yeah, I didn't get as far with that as I wanted to, but it was part of a whole day of sketching. This was our last venue and we just ran out of time, and I prioritised my glass of wine, I must say. This is also Victoria Yards that I mentioned earlier. These kinds of scenes I'm really enjoying sketching. So this is my friend Melissa, and this was just a funny in-joke that we had, but just sitting in a cafe and just trying to get like the sense that there's other people sat around, recording a bit of conversation. I'm just really enjoying those kinds of scenes, and this book has kind of led me to that in a strange way. So again, I'm not fussed about the scene. I was just really trying to capture the people that I was sat sketching with, and this is very iconic to where I live, so it was really fun to get that through the window in the background. But again, leaving a lot of the page, the natural page color, definitely is key. And I really found that I preferred to use sort of more like the more dry, opaque mediums in here. So things like the paint markers and colouring pencils and stuff, rather than the watercolour and markers and that kind of thing. So this was in a restaurant called Smoke Daddy's. I just didn't get the S on the end. I was so annoyed. This is just my living room. So, you know, if you're looking to practice your sketching on location skills, start at home. I have a free 7-day urban sketching at home challenge, which can get you up and going with ideas to sketch. But yeah, really fun. And, you know, I was just bending the perspective a little bit and it's all a bit wonky, but I really like that. I think it's really fun and it's a really nice memory of my living room at the time. But you can see, again, I've left a lot of the brown of the page. Certain parts I've done in white, and I've just decided to use blue mainly throughout the sketch. And then my rug is kind of got a red colour. This one was kind of mental. Oh yeah, I'd done an ice bath for the very first time, so I was feeling quite like zhuzhed up. I don't know if that's the right word, but I was like, I want to sketch something. So I just sketched whatever was on the TV table in front of me, which are these cool little skulls with plants, and this is from the Owl House. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, that was fun. This is from the same restaurant, Smoke Daddy's. They've got this cool steampunk kind of stuff going on. And yeah, I remembered the sketch I'd done in a previous cafe restaurant. Let me just, of putting the kind of the dark splattery kind of colour behind. So, and my friend Margaret had these Faber-Castell Goldfaber water-soluble markers. So I was trying them out and just adding water, and they were making these really cool effects. So, and it brought this whole page to life. So just adding these kind of dark washes in the background can really help with that. This is another one, my Thursday drawing group. I really wanted to try and draw a scene, you know, the cafe scene where everyone's sitting around, lots of the paper showing through, keeping it fairly minimalist, and then just, you know, just shading in certain areas of the sketch. And there's the radio station kind of over here and stuff. Practicing my people sketching skills on poor old Duncan. He'd literally just had eye surgery. And I was like, can I sketch you? I think he was too out of it to really be too bothered. So, so I sat there and sketched him. This is another one from Smoke Daddy. So this is another thing that I've just discovered, which I've thought about over the years, but I saw someone else using one the other day, and I was like, oh, I must try that, which is to actually use like a whiteout, a kind of correction pen as the opaque white. And as you can see, it really, really pops, like way more so than any paint marker that I've tried. But I will say it's still it is a little bit uncontrollable in areas. And I do think there's so many different brands out there. This is a Pentel one, and it can get a bit splodgy. So you still do have to be careful, but it's so vibrant on this paper. So that's something to investigate if you're interested in finding a good opaque white. This was the very last sketch in this sketchbook, even though it's not the last page. I just wanted to sketch Duncan, my husband, really. This is a hilarious drawing just for the fact that the proportions are so crazy. He's got such a small head. He's got I've made him look really fat as well. He's not that fat. And I've given him really long legs. When he saw it, he was like, oh, at least my legs are long. He's quite short, so that was quite funny. Yeah, and I've given him like quite a large hand. I don't know, I think actually I've just made his head really small. I think if his head was a bit bigger, no, his legs are really long. It's kind of crazy. But it's still really fun, and it just reminds me of sitting on the sofa with him, and he's got Tex on his lap there, Tex the cat. And yeah, I've got my kind of leg in and my sketchbook and stuff, and I really like that effect, you know. And then I finished the book with some life drawing, which is nice because I started the sketchbook with life drawing, but this one is online life drawing. So with Draw Brighton, a member of their Patreon. So each week they have some life drawing on Zoom, different sessions and stuff. So I'm really enjoying it. Actually, I really, really like doing the life drawing. Even though it's through Zoom, it's totally fine. It still works. So I quite liked how that one came out. Struggled a little bit with this one, but it's not too bad. And then, yeah, just messing around with faces, and as a lot of people do, just trying out different colours and swatches in the back of the book there. So those are kind of my thoughts about using a toned sketchbook, especially for on-location drawing. But, you know, applicable tips really for using a toned sketchbook for any purpose. Definitely concentrate on leaving a lot of the paper, and make sure you add whites for your highlights so you've got the contrast, otherwise it will sort of be mid colours. Less is more, definitely a good tip. You know, just using like greys and blacks and then just some accent colours really, really helps. I think make the whole drawing pop. And don't be afraid to explore different mediums and just draw in a totally different way than you normally would. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you a lot of value. Please do make sure to check out prettysketchy.tv for my membership, where I've got over 100 tutorials, demonstrations, etc. over there. And I'll see you in the next video.